Sometimes it's kind of hard for me because I think that people think that, like, I'm different or something.
They don't consider pretending that kids do not exist 24/7 bullying.
It would be easier if they would be understanding of it.
Let's go one time. Team on two. 1, 2. Team.
The students you just met all have a couple of things in common. First, they're all teenagers facing the challenges of life in high school. But they also share a special challenge. They have a developmental disability called High-Functioning Autism, or Asperger syndrome. Disorders that make it hard to relate to other people and hard to communicate. Hi, I'm Lana, and my cousin has Asperger syndrome. He was diagnosed when he was 3, so I've had a lot of experience with it. I know that people with high-functioning autism and Asperger syndrome have many challenges, but they also have strengths and talents just like you and I do. In some ways, they're very much like us. In other ways, they are pretty different. Over the next few minutes, you'll get to know these teens better and learn about high-functioning autism and Asperger syndrome and what it's like to live with it, and how we can better relate to the people who have it.
Asperger syndrome is probably a condition that affects your brain, and you kind of like have more trouble learning than other kids, and you have to like ask more questions and everything. And other than that, that's all that it really is, I think, to me.
Tommy is misunderstood in responses that he gives to a teacher. If a teacher says, do X, Y, and Z, and he misunderstands, sometimes he comes across as being sarcastic or maybe trying to be funny when actually he's not understanding, even though they've given directions. There was some part of it he missed.
The things that have helped my son Jeffrey in school have definitely been assistive technology, being able to have a laptop with him at all times, and having the right teachers, ones that were willing to learn a lot about Asperger's, because Asperger's is not like any other disability, and then on top of it, no two kids that have Asperger's are usually alike either.
When people ask about my son, I tell them that he has Asperger's, and they ask what that is, and I say that it's kind of like autism light, that it's 10% as bad as autism, it's about 10% as severe as autism. That it has some of the same characteristics, but they're more subtle.
Autism and high-functioning autism and Asperger syndrome are similar in some ways and not so similar in other ways. People with autism see the world very differently than we do, while people with high-functioning autism or Asperger syndrome aren't so different than the rest of us. In fact, they're a lot like us in many ways, but they do face some special challenges.
Be patient.
You can only eat the ones that you pick.
Be careful not to step in these.
He just doesn't seem to get any perspective. You know, he's so stuck on what he didn't get, or so stuck on what he got and telling you over and over and over again.
Kids with autism are very sensitive, and they can get angry easily, like my brother.
It's prickly.
He doesn't know he does it, but he argues a lot with people. He thinks he's always right, and you're always wrong.
It's actually because of the Asperger's that they fall into these kind of ruts sometimes where they can't get out of the same thing that they keep doing or saying sometimes.
Teens with Asperger syndrome or high-functioning autism also have unique strengths or skills. For example, many of them are really smart or know a lot about interesting subjects. My cousin knows so much about baseball. He even knows the names and stats of all the players in the Hall of Fame.
Tommy enjoys sports most of all. The one that he enjoys the most is basketball. We go to the gym after school, to the YMCA.
We're trying to pick. I want the other guy to roll a little bit quicker, you know, stay on the defense, and test every shot, okay? That's it. Get up on him. The team's benefited from Tommy is because he's got a lot of heart in the game, and that's a big key with any sport. I've never had to tell the kids, hey, listen, this kid has Asperger syndrome, but I think they know it. They feel it a little bit with the excitement, and then I think they respect him because, like I say, he's a good player, and that's what kids are all about.
What he loves is anything visual. He's got a lot of great abilities to visualize things and construct them. He has some little motor skill problems, so like when he actually is drawing things, they're still a little jagged, but he loves to build models and, he loves Legos, and these are things that school doesn't normally reward, and so for him that's been a struggle. But consistently what he's always made A's in are science and art, and it kind of makes sense, they're kind of hands-on.
Brilliant. Onto this car. I love science. I got straight A's, and except once when I was slowed down and I had to help my friend. He teaches me to draw trucks because he's very good at drawing things on wheels.
For most teens with Asperger syndrome or high-functioning autism, the hardest part of school is the part most of us like the best. No, it's definitely not the classwork. It's the hanging out and going places with friends and socializing. This can be pretty challenging for someone who has high-functioning autism or Asperger syndrome.
Children with autism or Asperger's disorder have a social learning disability. It's the same as if you have dyslexia, which is a reading disability, or a disability in math. Their disability is in social situations.
So I asked them if I can play a game with them. They're like, oh, I guess they're just... Did I hear something? Nah, it's just the wind. And that's kind of how they ignore me and stuff. Underneath there, some soup and stuff.
He hasn't had many long-term friends.
And there was stuff in these bins, but
the ones he had maybe through fourth grade, who were sort of his peers, they got into sports and all kinds of other social stuff that he just, again, Scott still just wants to sit there and play with Legos.
Stop looking at me!
That's one of the key areas that Jeffrey has big problems with, is really being able to socially know how to interact with people correctly. Because he doesn't read people, he doesn't understand body language, and then he doesn't understand how other people are feeling or what they're thinking.
As hard as it can be for people with high-functioning autism or Asperger syndrome to make friends, having friends is just as important to them as it is to any teenager, maybe even more so. And that means in school as well as after school.
Normally kids with autism don't really have any friends because they're different in actually quite good ways, but nobody really notices that.
He's very, very lonely. He's very aware of how he doesn't really have many friends.
Let's say I was jerky to someone and they never forgive me. That's not a good friend. Friends are willing to forgive each other.
What I like in a friend is if they have the same interests as me and they're nice and kind.
The main thing that he has problems with is really making real friends, keeping real friends, and understanding other people, and them in turn understanding him, because a lot of times what he says is not really well understood either. So it's a two-way thing where there's not a lot of good communication going on. If they are interested in a particular subject that you're interested in, then you probably could learn a lot and enjoy a lot of things together and have a lot of fun together, because they really like to be experts in whatever it is they enjoy.
Well, what I really like about my brother is he's real loyal, and if you need his help with something, most of the time he'll help you.
Some of the things I like to do with Tommy is just play video games and just play basketball, and if the NASCAR race is on, watch the race, and just hang out, nothing much.
There's no doubt about it. Being a teen with high-functioning autism or Asperger syndrome is hard. But if you know someone who has it, there are a lot of things you can do to make it easier.
Sometimes it can be frustrating for classmates of children with autism or Asperger syndrome when the student is constantly pointing things out, getting stuck on details, and they can be really annoying because they're not paying attention to the main thing that's going on. And one way to help them is to let them know what's the main thing that's going on, what's the big picture, what should they be attending to, and that'll actually help them the next time so that they don't get stuck in the details.
I want you to try to pick. I want the other guy to roll a little bit quicker, stay on your defense, contest every shot, okay?
If you're asking him to do something, you have to say it 2 or 3 times, or make sure you leave a note and still make sure that he does it. You can't just really leave a note or just tell him one time. You gotta, keep making sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do, and it's a pain sometimes, but you gotta do it.
We shouldn't eat too many of them now. You should wash them at home.
Eat them.
And have humor with him. That's enough. And then I think the other kids who have a sense of humor are able to sort of fall back when he's being sort of offensive in terms of their relationship, and then bounce back when he's now feeling contriteful and wanting to be friends again.
Kids should try to be friends and give them company, because once you get to know a kid with autism, they're really actually kind of cool.
By having a brother with Asperger's, I've learned how to deal with all different types and sorts of people.
A lot of people say don't judge a book by the cover, because his cover is definitely different than what he's got inside.
Now that you know a little more about high-functioning autism and Asperger syndrome, if you meet someone who has it, you'll know how to relate. Don't be afraid to say hi. We all have at least one thing in common. We're all teenagers who appreciate a little respect and understanding.